You're all doing well.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, morning, Harish. Uh, yeah, let me share the screen, friends, so that we can start with our agenda of the session. So, of course, we are traveling with Spark. We are trying to get some insights related to that Spark understanding and few aspects we have seen, like uh, Spark context, Spark session, RDD, some sort of data frame. Okay, all these things we have seen. And of course, we observed some of the aspects related to the capacity of the spark. So the summary of the appropriate understanding is, we are realizing that Spark implementation is pretty easy, and of course, it is pretty simple to implement with the simple lines of the code and with the simple understanding. So now, today's class objectives. So basically, just we'll start with the concept of the transformations. So the transformations mainly gives that. So because RDD or data frame, both are immutable in nature. Both are immutable in nature. But if I want to achieve some sort of the functionality, so maybe I want to implement some filter, or maybe if I want to apply some kind of the group by, okay, or whichever the operations I want to apply. How do I specify these changes? Because immutability is nothing but it's not allowing the user to change the content. But without changing the content, without having the proper specification, without changing anything, how do I convert my input data into the outcome? So for those kind of the things, we're having the transformations. So those things we're trying to discuss today. Many transformations are there. So we'll give the overview of those transformations. And as usual, these transformations are available in two flavors: narrow transformations and wide transformations. And if you observe the narrow transformation, friends, just there is a specification like, so how do I interact with the corresponding partitions and data? Uh, so for this particular purpose, let me show you how Databricks is giving the definition for the transformations. Just if you observe, guys, this is one of the best uh, page or one of the best documentation related to the uh, park. So uh, my strong suggestion is, guys, either you can go with the Databricks documentation or else Apache Spark documentation. Both are okay because those two are the proprietary aspects for our Spark understanding. Okay, both in terms of PySpark or Scala or whichever. Now, as if you refer, already we have seen what exactly the transformation. Transformations are some kind of the operations where you can apply on top of the RDD or data frame, provided these particular things are helping us so as to convert or so as to modify the appropriate data items according to our requirement. A simple definition related to the transformations. Now we were talking about the narrow transformations or narrow dependencies. Suppose if you are referencing the narrowness of the transformations, in a simple diagram, friends. Actually, this particular thing is helping us very clearly how we are making use of the narrow transformations. Transformation consisting of narrow dependencies. Okay, those where each input partition will contribute to only one output partition. Suppose if I am taking one kind of the operation or I'm applying some logic on the corresponding operation that is related to that is generating the output correspondingly, and it is not going to shuffle anything. It is having then and there the activities. Such kind of the transformations are known as the narrow transformations. Like we're having some select and as well as concatenation, select expression. Okay, so and which column renamed, filter. All these are nothing but the narrow transformations, dropping a column, all those kind of the considerations. Whereas coming to the wide transformations, the wide transformation just to observe, friends. Here the diagram is saying that what it says is a wide dependency or wide transformation. Style transformation will have input partition contribute to many output partitions. That means maybe to generate the output, I should pick up multiple inputs or I should work with many inputs. There is no straightforward outcome related to this particular transformation. And here there are certain shuffles are required. Just to remember like this, guys. And if you are working with the narrow transformation, there is no shuffling between the input partitions and as well as the corresponding output partition. Whereas in case of the wide transformations, to generate the output, definitely the transformation, the activity, if it is shuffling between multiple inputs so as to generate the output, then such kind of transformations are known as the wide transformations. Okay, only the thing is without shuffle, narrow transformation, with shuffle, which is nothing but the wide transformation. For example, distinct is there. Distinct, if I want to find out, I should shuffle the appropriate input data. Accordingly, I should publish the distinct values from the input. Similarly, the join operation. So the join operation also, suppose I am having multiple data frames and I want to publish a common data frame or based on some kind of the condition if I want to perform, then I can go with the these kind of wide transformations. Similarly, I'm having the group by. Group by is also some sort of the wide transformation because after picking up all the inputs, it should group the corresponding details related to a particular data item or related to a particular column. So with this, we are having a simple knowledge on narrow and as well as the wide transformations. So the convention is like the narrow transformation, okay, which is not having many shuffles and as per the requirement. So just whatever the input partition I'm having, so and directly it is generating the output partition. There is no shuffle, no shuffle. Example, select, and then we have seen some kind of select expression. Okay, these things. And coming to the wide transformations, suppose I'm having the input partition, correspondingly we are having some output, and here the same input is mapped with multiple outputs. So there is a shuffle required. Example we have seen like distinct and as well as group by. Okay, these are all some of the examples related to the wide transformation. Each and everything we'll see, guys. Coming to the next topic, which is the actions. Okay, action specifies that your count and as well as the collect, take, all these activities. Okay, because these particular activities basically provide some kind of the triggering of the events. Because in case of the transformations, just will have the notion of okay whatever the functionality I'm having. So as it is, that particular functionality will be kept lazy. Whereas in case of the actions, it's not like that. And these particular actions should trigger the activities of the transformations, and accordingly, they are going to generate the results. And some other aspects like reduce is there. Reduce is also some action. And we have seen some save as text file. Okay, in our program also we have seen save as text file. That is also one action. And then count by key. Okay, based on the key, if I want to list out the aggregation, these are all some of the examples related to our actions there. Okay, and what I will do is let us get started with the transformations first, and then we'll slowly move to the narrow and wide. And in between, just I'll give you the other important thing why I kept aside this Spark architecture is now it is very clear to you to understand the architectural aspects of the Spark. Okay, so just how it is making use of the convention and which are all the components available. Reason is pretty simple, friends. So once you familiar with all the terminologies and all the activities of the Spark engine, it is pretty easy to understand the corresponding architectural diagram. So first, if you study the architecture, then trying to implement there is a delay in connecting the dots. But whereas while after implementing, after studying some kind of the literature, after implementing some of the aspects, if you are able to, if you are going through the architecture, then you can able to fill up the gaps. Okay, so how I can understand how do I do the appropriate aspect. Okay. So let me go to our Databricks, and now onwards, just will have a Databricks support, guys, because these cluster actually I have launched just before the session, so that we can directly make use of that particular cluster. Okay, this cluster I'm using, and after starting of this cluster, just I can create a new notebook. Okay, so this is like give the name as transformations and actions. Okay, just for the reference, just I'm giving this thing. It creates a new notebook for us. And one of the important aspect is, friends, though we are not having, okay, though we are not having the requirement of getting the Spark session or Spark context, but I am recommending you guys just you can habituate to use that Spark session and as well as the Spark object, like how we have done in case of earlier example. You see, so just we have seen this particular convention of not this one actually, maybe in the earlier session. Let me here recents are there, no? Yeah, grateful. So just in the recents you can see here also we have not used. Okay, no problem. Look, this one directly either you can use the way from PySpark.sql import Spark session, and you can make use of this convention. Okay, so just you can perform the activity according to the requirement, or else directly you can use the Spark. The simple thing is that if you are directly using your Databricks Community Edition or Proprietary Edition, then you are free to use this Spark. Otherwise, earlier we have seen some cluster actually, Cloudera based cluster. In that case, they may not configure this thing basically. So in that case, just you have to import the Spark session, and then you should create your Spark reference. Then onwards, you can make use of the convention, right? That's what I want to say. And yes, let us go with our flow. Now, today I am going to introduce some of the functionalities. So, like how do I make use of the conventions of these transformations, and these transformations require some kind of the imports. Okay. So for that particular thing, I'm importing. I will call this guys import a pandas as PD. So in the earlier session also, while creating the data frames, we have seen various aspects to create the data frame. Maybe with the list, with the tuple, with the dictionary, with the list of list, with the list of dictionary, with the list of the tuple, and with the help of the RGD. and with the help of the pandas data frame. So we are having many different ways to create the data frames. So out of those kind of things, we are having one more option, getting the data or performing the appropriate activity with the uh, pandas data frame. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is, guys, just I'm picking up some data. So as to perform the activity, I should have some data with me. So just to avoid the time delay, so just I have prepared this thing for you guys. Okay. So employee details. If you observe, this is a list of dictionary actually. So key value pair of things. So just I want to make use of this source in our data frame creation. So which are all the attributes available is employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, email ID, and skill set. Okay, this we are using as a source data. So just we are making use as a source data. And what I'm doing here is so I want to create one data frame because friends, one of the important thing, I can apply some kind of the operations on this list of dictionaries, but most flexible way of applying the appropriate activities is with the help of the data frame. So data frame is a construct where it is providing us some row and column wise fashion data, and it is very flexible to pick up the data and process the data. And in the earlier session, we have seen some of the aspects. Now, in the today's session, we are going to see many more aspects, such like many transformations we're having and actions we're having, so that you can simply observe, okay, in what way you can make use of data frames data. Okay, right. Now I'm creating a new data frame for our implementation purpose. We know that just there is a method called spark.create data frame, and as I said, I want to take this as a source data. So now you see how do I take the pd dot data frame of. Now I am sending this employee details, whatever I'm having, to this data frame creation. Okay, so EMP, just I am making use of details. So first I should run them. That's what it is not suggesting, guys. Shift enter. Okay, now I am able to register this thing. The main thing is, guys, in case of Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Hub or else the Google Collaboratory or maybe in Databricks, everywhere to affect this particular thing, definitely you should run that particular cell. So then only see now after giving this thing, if I am typing this, it is suggesting. Earlier, it was not like that. So you can easily observe, okay, in what way. Suppose if IntelliSense is not working, then you should observe that oh something has gone wrong. Okay, so if you, as far as the IntelliSense is supporting you with some kind of the suggestions, maybe in terms of methods or maybe in terms of some kind of predefined objects like this, okay, user defined or predefined objects like this, then you can feel that okay, I'm going in a right path, at least for that particular statement. Okay, so now this statement is not new for us. Out of many possible ways of creating the data frame, we have selected this methodology so as to create a data frame in the PySpark. Just to run through, and immediately it is giving the outcome. And now if you give without any show or something, just you can see that what exactly this data frame is containing. Employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, email ID, skill. Like that, we're having some sort of different kinds of attributes in our data frame. Now, of course, I can make use of this show method where you can see the clear distinction between the data frame specification corresponding to the normal values. Normal values, if you see, just it is arranging the row-wise kind of thing. But whereas in our data frame, just it is a tabular representation. Why we are very flexible to use this representation is Just we can make use of these kind of the conventions, very flexible, very simple to apply the aspects. So that is why we are going behind this data frame functionality. Now what we are doing is just we are into the discussion of narrow transformations. Just you can make use of these narrow transformations. And out of that, first I'm making use of the select method. Okay. Friends, now this time onwards, you can feel the observation of maybe it is looking like 70 to 80 percentage of our syntax is similar to the SQL kind of the implementation. Of course, that is quite natural because though I am writing the PySpark code, it is very much similar to the SQL kind of the syntax. And moreover, if you still want to jump into the Spark SQL, and in the next session, however, I will scope one case study with Spark SQL so that you can see the how I can completely delve into the SQL orientation of the PySpark, the Spark SQL. Okay. Now, the select is one of the narrow transformation where I can perform some kind of the selection. So, if you see your employee DF, uh, uh, employee data frame, which is having some sort of employee ID, first name, all these things. Now, get, I want to apply these conventions with the select statement. Simple, just you can make use of the select. As usual, if I want to pick up all the contents from the appropriate data frame, I can make use of that selection. Okay, so employee df dot select star dot show. Now, if you refer this particular normal thing, it has taken 6.49 seconds. Whereas if I am applying some predefined method so as to display the data, which is 6.49 seconds, whereas our select, okay, within 0.60 seconds it has taken. That is what the observation is. Reason is that some of the aspects maybe it looked like some sort of applicability, but whereas we are listening between our data frame and as well as the predefined function. So this select itself has done some sort of specifications on that so that it is giving the faster performance of the data frame. So the result wise and all. And moreover, for the SQL based programmers, it is quite easy to get into these kind of the considerations. And moreover, PySpark provides this kind of the transformation where you need not apply any kind of the shuffle process because shuffle is more expensive. Because here we have seen, if you refer the shuffling process, there it goes everywhere and it is trying to pick up the appropriate information according to the requirement. But whereas in case of this thing, narrow, directly within the corresponding input partition, it is directly mapping the output to the uh, appropriate partition. So that is how you can understand the usage of this select statement. And moreover, the other possibility, friends, with the select as if you see the select, and of course that particular select is something like which is definitely simulation of our select statement in SQL. There is a possibility of implementing this projection also. Okay, the projection is something like this: employee data frame. Just I can make use of the select. Now, what I can do is I can specify some only required information, employee ID, and as well as I want to get the first name only. I don't want to pick up all the information of the employee, just I want to get the first name. And thereafter, I want to get the skill set of the employee. Only this much is enough. Okay, skill set of the employee, and then apply the show. So here, the select clause is projecting only on employee ID, first name, and as well as the skill set of the employee. Just we are trying to pick up only that data. Okay, so immediately it is requiring. And of course, to pick up the entire data, Databricks took 0.60 seconds, whereas to project that thing, zero point 0.7. It doesn't mean that, friends, the less attribute are not going to perform very fast, because how it is performing is first the select will pick up all the columns, and then it is going to apply some kind of the filter in such a way that whichever the programmer specifies, only those things need to pick up. For that, this delay. Okay, it has to segregate the appropriate superset into the subset of the data, and that subset is getting the outcome based on the requirement. So this is how you can refer, and moreover, this the advantage of this select clause is, friends, it's not only for picking up the existing data. For that, conveniently we can use the show method and all. But from now onwards, I'll show you some kind of the examples where you can feel that this the capability of the select in a different zone. So for that, we need certain predefined functionalities. Let me import those kind of the functionalities. There is a subsection called functions actually, PySpark.SQL. So far, we have used only up to PySpark.SQL. Now we are having some other module in the SQL, that is the functions, which is supporting the column, literal, and as well as some sort of the concat function. Okay. So these three we are going to use in the upcoming commands, so that I'm importing these particular three things into our workspace. So column, lit, and concat. And let me show you how do I achieve this particular thing. Here my aim is because the task is like this, guys. I want to generate the full name of the employee by concatenating first name and last name. That is my requirement. Maybe at times, maybe first names are there, whereas Harish, maybe multiple Harish would be there. Multiple Balas are there. So in that case, definitely with the last name also, I can able to identify those members. So maybe that is a condition required. So in that case, just this select can be utilized with many other predefined functionalities, especially to achieve this kind of the requirements. Okay. So for that, just we are making use of this employee DF, and then I'm establishing a select class just for the readability. I'm taking this thing COL off. So simple thing, friends. Only this column, what it does is just let me take the help of this thing. Returns a class pyspark.sql.column based on the given column name. Just it is performing, what it is doing is whatever the column you are taking, as it is that is converted into the column. Okay, so that is the main advantage. And otherwise, you can directly use emp underscore df of employee ID also. Okay, it all depends on the requirement. But the one of the simplest way of referring this thing is column. And maybe if you are not interested to use the column, directly you are free to use this first name. Okay, nothing wrong, friends. Okay, first name. And after that, just I am making use of this another thing, that is the last name. This time I want to pick up this data details in my application. Whenever you are applying something, friends, don't forget to uh, print the source data also, because after applying some data manipulation, you should check with the existing data. Okay, that's what the reason we are keeping that employee ID, first name and last name as usual, and as well as I'm getting the other thing as we're having experience also. So experience of the corresponding person. And then next I'm going to apply the concatenation. So for that we're having the concat method. Okay, here also what I'm doing here is column of, just I'm picking up this first name. Generally, friends, while writing the first name and last name, there is a general convention that after writing the first name, just will leave that little space and put some comma. So this is something like which is available within the literal. Literal means whatever the data whatever the data you are making use, or whatever the data you are taking. As usually, if you want to print that particular data, then you can use the lit, is a literal. Just if you see the shift tab, SQL column, which is giving the literal of values. Just what I'm doing here is just I'm making use of some convention, and this particular column, which is taking the literal. Okay. So literals, some constants and all these kind of things. As usually, if I want to project that particular thing into my data, so just I can make use of the lit kind of. And thereafter, the other thing, actually, first name is scoped, and I want to give the get the last name also. Just I am taking that last name. And here, after completion of this thing, friends, the next important thing is how do I return that? Because something first name, last name has been combined, but if I'm leaving this, it is giving a longer string, first name, last name like that. But I don't want that. What I want to do is I want to put some alias, which is full name. Okay, full name, and then you can directly apply the show method. Don't worry, friends. I have used many things here. So first thing is I have introduced the concept of the column with you. Column is nothing but whatever the item you are giving from the appropriate data frame, it will be converted to the column type. Okay, so nothing else. And if you are okay with the usage of the column, just you can apply that. Otherwise, you can simply give this first name, last name, experience kind of things. So generally, in the select expressions, in all those kind of things, directly we can make use of that expressions. Whereas in the normal select statement, we prefer to pick up or to specify any of these kind of the values as a column type. So that's what we are mentioning that point. Okay. And once these select statement required columns are specified, like employee ID, first name, last name, and experience, now the process is I want to generate the full name. Okay. So for that, we are having the concat. Okay. This is a method which is taking some set of the arguments and which provides concatenation of that particular thing. Now our requirement is I want to concatenate first name and last name of the employee. Just we are taking that thing, and apart from that, just we are making use of this literal. Literal, what it does is whatever the functionality we are doing, and in between, if you want to place some special characters, and if you want to place some whatever the data you want as it is without any change, then you can make use of that lit. Okay. And then leaving this concat like this is not a good idea. So for that, we are making use of this alias of the full name, and then we are applying the show method. Okay. So just you enter this. Okay. Now you see the distinction, friends. It is picking up employee ID as per the select statement, and first name also it has picked up, last name, and of course experience. Up to this, no change is there. As usually, we are having the usage of that thing. And if you apply the concat operation, it is not reflecting anything like first name, last name, literal, nothing it is doing. Just it is showing us in the result actually. So your first name and last name, actually you can compare here. Okay, so just we are after the first name we left with some space. After that we have put that comma. So accordingly, how we have specified in the lit. It all depends on the requirement, friends. Maybe sometimes the people don't want to put any comma or space, and if you remove this kind of thing, directly you will be getting the first name and last name. Okay, this is how you observe the usage of the concat and call literal, and then alias. Okay, and with respect to the select, you can achieve all these kind of the conventions. Okay, this is the example. Coming to the other thing, friends, actually. So now, quite interesting, as we're always talking about the SQL kind of the syntax and SQL influence on our PySpark code. Let me introduce this aspect which is known as select expression. Okay. At times, there may be a possibility of giving some expressions within the select statement. Uh, um, as we have seen, just concat kind of thing. The same aspect we are trying to implement with the select expression. Let us do that. So, as usual, we are selecting same data frame. And now, if you see the select, we are having the two flavors of the select statement. If you observe, one is the select and second is the select expression. This time I am selecting the select expression. And of course, employee ID remains same. And this time also, I want to give the first name and as well as the last name. So the source data must be there. Okay, once this is over, just I want to apply some concat. Here, what I'm doing, friends, observe here. Just I started with double quotes, and I am establishing a concat function. Just I am making use of first name from the table, and without any literal. So just I am giving the space and comma, and thereafter again I am making use of this last name. My interest here is as uh, full name. Okay, as without alias also I am taking that. So this is the full name. And then directly I can show that dot show. There are certain points you need to observe guys here. In the earlier example, just we have used that concat with the select statement directly. What I have done is just we are making use of the column and literal and thereafter the last name, alias, full name. Okay, in this way. Is a quite simple, a typical programmer does this. Whereas a kind of programmer who is having a strong influence of SQL kind of the background, then he can go with the select expression. Okay, let me show you what is the advantage of this. It projects a set of SQL expressions and returns a new data frame. Okay, of course, this is a variant of the select statement. Okay, just if you refer, it is projection. Of course, we are doing that employee ID, first name, last name. Basically, it is expecting some kind of expressions. Now, the expression is like this. Remember one point, friends. If you want to perform or if you want to achieve any kind of the expression, just you can place that in the double quotes. So then PySpark treat this entire thing as an expression and accordingly it is going to solve that. And one more point you would have observed, in case of our select, we have to put this column name in quotes actually. But after within the expression you say, you need not again specify that first name and last name in single quotes. Okay. So because these things automatically comes under the category of the expression. Within that expression, whatever the attributes or columns the user is proposing, PySpark observes, okay, these are all belongs to some sort of column information, and accordingly it is going to apply some logic. Okay, here the logic is we are concatenating the first name and last name, and accordingly we are generating this. Even we have not used the alias or something. So directly as, okay, this is the benefit of using the select expression. Now you try to give that. And so in case of the select statement with concatenation, we have observed 0.87 seconds so as to run the task. And here in 0.79 seconds only, you can observe that. So those benefits you need to observe, guys. Okay, practically while implementing all these kind of the select or select expression or concat or literal or alias, maybe if you are adding some more things, directly you may not feel that, oh, why I'm adding many things, so it may incur additional time slice for my uh, SQL query. No, not like that. So though you are having some sort of additional constructs, but still there is a chance of reducing the appropriate functionality in the greater manner. Functionality in the sense burden on the cluster or within the shortest span of the time. Internally, we cannot see. No? So internally, this PySpark maintains some logic. Maybe it can be using the RAM or cache memory according to the requirement. And in a way, by using those constructs supported by PySpark, one can reduce the time and space utilization in a significant way. Okay, that is the main purpose we should observe related to the usage of select and select expression. Okay. Now, most important thing, guys, most useful construct, which is the with column method. So this is something like which is used to create the new columns or which is used to rename the existing columns. Many usages are there, friends, and I can say the programmer the first rank I can give out of the narrow transformations with the select. A majority of the times will go with this with column functionality. So which column is not only for the sake of renaming or something, it is performing some other operations also. Okay. Let me implement something so that you can see how do I utilize this with column option. So just we are taking the employee and select as we are talking about this thing. And this time also we are making use of the employee ID, and thereafter we are taking that first name from the data frame, and thereafter I have taken the last name also. Okay. Now, sometimes, friends, you may feel that writing the code in the row, entire row, it's not having any look and feel. So, I want to write as a simple procedure or some kind of the function. So that what you can do is just to stop here, give a slash, then PySpark observes that okay, this guy is continuing the appropriate functionality. Okay. So, and then you can use the with column option, T capital guys, and what I'm doing here is just I want to establish, be with me guys. Okay, it's a quite interesting aspect with full name, concat of, just I'm making use of this concat functionality, where I'm mentioning just first name. Okay, and then here I'm giving this lit of, just I'm making use of the comma, same principle, and thereafter I'm putting with the last name. So once this is over, then just I'm displaying the result. So the possibility here is, guys, as I said, which column? Let me show you the documentation. Okay, so just it is not giving. Okay, let me run this code. So what it does, guys, which column even took less time when compared with other things, and it is more flexible because just directly without using alias, without using expression, without using as, directly this with column, what it does is it is providing a new name, and you need not specify any additional implementation or parameter for that. It is the second, whatever the implementation we're having, that thing will be placed as this full name. Okay, now you see in the select clause, whatever I'm having, employee ID as it is reflected, first name and as well as the last name. Now what I'm doing here is I'm taking the full name here, and this full name, what it does, whatever the functionality you are implementing with respect to this phase, that is going to paste here. Okay, so just logic, the appropriate logic is going to place in the full name. This thing. This is the which column. And one more thing, what I want to do is just observe this criteria, guys. Just I am taking the data frame and I am making use of the select. And as it is, just I am making use of employee ID and then some kind of the first name from the appropriate data frame, and then I'm using the last name. This is as usual. So the typical way of splitting the appropriate lines of code into multi rows. So just with column of have a look on this guys. First name, full name, first name actually. So EMP data frame. This is one more option. How can I refer my column information. So not always you need not go with the column or something. Otherwise, you can make use of this convention also with the directly mentioning the data frame of the appropriate attribute name. Again, I am taking one more with column option. And here I am taking the last name. Just what I am doing here is my employee data frame. I want to specify this last name here. Okay, and then just I'm making use of the show method. Have a look on this, guys. So the difference between the with column here and here is in this case, just I am explicitly writing the code so as to concatenate first name and as well as the last name. So accordingly, the entire result, whatever generated by PySpark, is pushed into this full name. Okay. Whereas if you see this convention, let me run this so that you can observe the effect. So, however, I am selecting my employee ID, first name and last name. And what I'm doing here is instead of the first name, I want to refer that as a FN. Instead of the last name, I want to refer that as LN. How we observe, guys, here? Here, the with column substituted the appropriate logic or appropriate method, whatever we have used. So, evaluating or performing some kind of the logic, you can perform with the with column. So, with column, what it does is after performing a corresponding activity or functionality, it is generating whatever the result generated, that result will be mapped to the appropriate column information. Okay. And otherwise, if you see the second criteria here, what we have done is we have mentioned some first name FN and last name as LN, and we don't want to refer every time first name, last name, such a longer string. So just I'm simply mentioning, okay, you can rename this first name into FN, last name into LN. So based on the appropriate context, the with column behaves, guys. It is not going to perform everything in a normal manner or in a generic way, in a routine way, not like that. So just it see that okay, what is the second uh, what he's doing, what this developer is trying to do, what this developer is conveying to me. Accordingly, it behaves. So with column is having many kind of the alternatives. I don't understand why it is not. Let me with column. Uh, I Spark. Only will see either Apache Spark. So, see here, there returns a new data frame by adding a column or replacing the existing column that has the same name. Either I can add the new column addition is possible, or else replacing the existing column. Okay, the column expression must be an expression over this data frame. Attempting to add a column from some other data frame will raise an error. See here, this point is important. Okay, the column expression must be an expression over this data frame only. Attempting to add a column from some other data frame will raise an error. That is the quite logic. No? So it's not like that, okay, simply I can go and make use of the convention of adding some other column from the other data frame. Okay, it won't be allowed. So from the same data frame, whatever the activity you want to perform, you can perform that operation. Okay. So as to execute some sort of the logic, I can make use of the with column option. But there is some distinction, friends. Maybe if you are purely interested to rename the columns, and you need not go with the with column. So because with column scope is very high, and either you can add the columns or you can execute some kind of expressions or some kind of logic related to the with column. Whereas your interest is if you want to perform only the renaming of the columns, then there is some other construct is available which is provided by our PySpark like this things. Let me show you this with column renamed option. What it does is just I am taking the same data frame. and we'll be selecting the option of as usual we are selecting that employee ID, and this time just I'll be selecting the first name and thereafter the last name along with the experience also. Experience I have given. Let me see that things. Yeah, only three letters, capital E. Okay, so experience we are taking, and thereafter just we are running through the next line. Now we will be using the with column renamed. Okay, with column renamed. What I am doing here, guys, just there is a small distinction in the syntax. Uh, Let me explain that. Employee ID. And after that, just what I want to do is again with column renamed. What I'm doing here is first name, and then I will be taking that in a meaningful way, like EMP first name, like that I want to specify. Then other thing, which column renamed, just I will be taking the last name. Then I can specify EMP like last name, EMP last name. Okay, employee last name. Just you can mention this, and then you can apply this show method. Now have a look on this, friends. Just if I am making use of the data frame, in case of the earlier examples, your with column expects the new column first, and then it is showing the existing column. Okay, so whatever the column you want to generate or whatever the column you want to establish, first you need to mention that in with column as a first argument. Okay, in this case also, this I want to generate a new column. So first I need to give the new column to the with column. Whereas with column renamed is not like that. It is first selecting the existing column, and after selecting this column and how the user want to rename that particular column. So maybe EMP ID, I want to take employee ID. First name, I want to take the EMP employee first name. And last name, I'm prefixing with a suitable naming convention for it here. EMP last name. Okay, so just if you refer this kind of representation, shift enter if I'm giving, just I'll be making use of these thing, friends. First, it is giving preference to that employee ID. There is no employee ID, no more employee ID if I am taking, because this employee ID is turned into the employee ID. You can see here. Similarly, first name, EMP first name. Just I am making use of that thing. And next is the EMP last name. Okay, all these kind of the conventions. And moreover, experience remains same, friend, because employee ID, first name and last name, as with column renamed, we have altered those things with some other names. So obviously, it is pushing all those things according to the specification of the user, and this experience remains same. And maybe if you want to convert that experience as employee experience, in simple with column renamed exp comma emp underscore experience, like that you can mention that. So the distinction between with column and with column renamed is with column is having many functionalities like adding the columns, renaming the columns, and performing some logics on the columns likewise. Whereas with column renamed is only having a single functionality, that is whatever the column I'm having, and if I want to rename that particular column, just I can go with the with column rename. So these two are most frequently used narrow transformations along with the select method. Okay, according to your select method, you can perform that. Now, the quite interesting aspect is, okay, which is nothing but the filter. Always working with the conditions in SQL, how do you feel like in the SQL orientation? Maybe generally we are going to perform some kind of the activities. Similarly, here also there is a requirement from our manager, like where I want to get the members. whose skill set is PySpark. Okay, this is my requirement. I only need some persons because as we are maintaining the master data of the employees, at least in corresponding business units, so that business unit may be having different zone spread. Suppose if I'm talking about the Databricks projects, we are having data engineering and data science and data analysis and data services like that, all relevant to the data. So we in Databricks itself, we are having many wings. Similarly, the skill set also, maybe some people working on Java, some maybe on Python, some maybe with SQL, some members are related to the big data technologies like Hadoop, Hive, and some may be dedicated to PySpark orientation likewise. Now, my interest is I want to get the appropriate details who are having the skill set of the PySpark. For that, let me get the entire details once again. Okay, so I need to focus on this skill set, and I'm having some certain records, and I want to pick up only the members who are having the skill set of the PySpark. Only these two records I should, because I don't know how many are there. Okay, maybe in 10,000 employees, assume that I may have the appropriate PySpark skill, maybe 50 or 60, something like that. Okay, so in that case, what should I do? Just I can apply the filter condition. So let us go into the case employee data frame. Just I can apply the filter option directly. It is suggesting something, and this time I'm most preferable way, friends. While using any conditions or something, you can simply put this call as usual, as you expected. Just I'm selecting only the PySpark resource, and then you can apply the show. Is that much simple? Okay, so the best way of converting or best way of using maybe the people who are from Java or Python, they can easily shift to PySpark friend without any thought. Shift in the sense maybe if you want to add some more technology into your skill set, and maybe if you want to venture multiple project experience. Nowadays, we definitely require our capabilities in at least two or three technologies, at least. So, because the market is like that, friends. Maybe some days we are getting the Java projects, and sometimes we may be getting the Python or PySpark. So, in that case, definitely we need resources. There is no without resource we cannot implement anything or we cannot launch the projects. But only the thing is, at least we know some one or two technologies apart from our base technology. It is always good for company and for us also. It is very quite interesting for us. Maybe you may be venturing all these different categories of the projects, so you can prove your potentiality other than your core. Okay, so just this narration, employee DF, just we are filtering the skill and that particular skill set which is matching the PySpark. Only those records I want to get. Okay, so here two members were there. One is working under the designation of the data engineer, and maybe other guy says maybe some sort of mismatch here, designation, friends. Maybe he's a data analyst or data scientist or whichever. And of course, some accounts, okay, some accounts like Databricks accounts and all definitely require some kind of the salesperson who is at least know the ABC of PySpark. Operational people from client, they may ask some kind of a question like how many resources are there, how many trainings are happened, how many certified members are there. Those kind of things might be uh, playing a vital role in winning the projects also. So for that, just we can make use of this convention of putting these guys, sales guys and marketing. and as well as these uh, all these marketing and sales guys are common along with the managers. In the discussion, they will be sitting with to win the projects. Okay, most of the times this whiteboard meetings and initial steps, right? Okay, you can take like that. And moreover, one more option, guys. Actually, maybe you feel that this is something like where class. Actually, your where class is equal to filter. Okay, either if you want to perfectly perform the PySpark orientation, you can filter you can use. Otherwise, where class is also simple, friends. Like employee data frame I'm having. Now I'm taking one more step where this time I want to check the experience of the employee. Okay, so where the column, better to use the column while performing some kind of the conditional operations and all. Where experience exactly where experience people I want. Okay, and then I can make use of this show. Okay, so the member, one member is of course with the skill set scope is having 5 years of experience. So I mean to say here filter how it is performing the activity. In the similar way, there is one more alternative called where clause. So where clause, how in SQL, how it is performing some kind of the functionality. In the similar way, it is achieving the same kind of the aspect. Now there is a typical requirement, guys. Other than PySpark, what we're trying to do is, of course, we're having plenty of the PySpark projects, but we are lagging in the people. We are lagging in the resource actually. Now, what should I do? Then I should focus on the members who are not having the skill set of the PySpark, maybe to empower them in the capability building through some sort of resource provision, or maybe if required, we may establish a new training for them, something like that. So the plan is that. Then first I should get who are all not having the skill set of the PySpark. So for that purpose, see guys here, how I am writing the code. So just we'll be making the use of the data frame, and I'm applying the select option. So just I want to pick up the employee ID. First, I need to contact them so that I am picking up all these details. Because we are having some requirement related to the PySpark project now. So up to this common select statement from past 10 or 12 commands, we are making use of those things. It is quite natural. And then now I want to filter the appropriate skill set actually. How I am performing here is the skill set. Now this time not equal to PySpark. Simple. Okay, how I am achieving, how I am performing some functionality in case of the SQL. In the similar way, just I can perform the activity. And then as usual, to display the content of the data frame, the most flexible construct is the show method. So here the option is in this example. So we have checked that operator equal, double equal, which is nothing but equality, and every skill. Okay, just it is going through all the records, and whenever the skill is matching to our PySpark, then only it is going to display. Similarly, the where option also, just I am making use of the convention experience I am taking as 5 years of experience people. So just where experience I'm taking as 5 years. Okay, so just only those members were displayed. Only one member is there. This time we are checking a negative condition actually. So negation that not equal to filters those particular things, and I can refer the remaining members. So we are having these guys, and maybe I can do one thing, guys. So what I want to do is, okay, let me. That's what I said. Every time after before applying the condition, definitely you embed that skill also. Okay, that whatever the condition you're checking, if you are not giving that, it simply gives the values. Okay, that may not help us in this case. I want to pick up that skill also. Now see. The members who are having the knowledge on Hadoop or knowledge on Python or knowledge on MapReduce, okay, and Hive can be suggested to learn PySpark. Maybe Scoop guys, maybe completely they're only related to the SQL or something like that. But whereas if the person is knowing Hadoop, definitely he can easily shift to Spark architecture. And if he's having Python knowledge, and it is pretty simple to have the PySpark knowledge. And even Hive also, Hive and all we can exclude Hive and Scoop because those tools may be helpful, especially the loading of the data, performing some kind of the aspect. So not much programming required in that case, Hive and Scoop. But sometimes based on their interest also, we can pull them into the tradings. Okay, so in such kind of the scenarios, guys, one can easily perform the activities of these aspects, and you can realize that narrow transformations are most commonly used transformations. The select expression, filter, all these kind of the actions will be helpful to specify the understanding. Now, one more possibility is there. So just I am having this employee data frame. I am making use of this convention. And what I want to do is the members who are having the experience from 1 to 5. Okay, I want to conduct a special training on the leadership roles because friends, up to 5 years in any industry, we need to be very stringent with our technologies and with our communication, and personally we have to grow, and team wise also we have to grow. And once you reach to a certain level of the experience with your skill set, always your experience should help to the teams actually. So why we are giving the promotions, and why we are after reaching to a certain level, why we are turning them into the leadership team is their experience and their potentiality should reflect in other members also. Okay, that's what all companies are striving for, better leadership qualities. And so we want to establish such kind of the culture. So now what we are doing here is I want to get the members who are between 1 to 5 years of experience, and based on those things, no problem. Even he's having 1 year of experience also, later point of time, he can turn into a leader. But now I want to show them how a leader should behave, and in what way, which are all the characteristics you should possess. So for that, just let us see this thing, friends. Actually, we are having a operation called between. Okay, so this is also a narrow transformation. Let me show you how do I pick up these things related to the scenario. Employee DF. Okay, now I'm having the experience column as usual. But before that, let me pick up the select statement with employee ID, and as well as I need the first name of the person, and as well as this time, maybe I want to put the designation also. Uh, So I want to see, maybe friends, sometimes the members who are having 4 years or 3.5 years maybe turn into the team managers also because their outstanding capabilities, maybe many certifications they're having, or with their qualifications. Okay, so they may be turned into the leadership. So that we need to, before allocating the training, we should see that designation also. That is the understanding, and then experience. So just I'm taking this experience also. And what I'm doing here is now the actual condition. So filter, let us see how to apply. So column out, just I'm applying the experience. And here the concept of pipeline come into the picture. So between, see, automatically suggested between 1, 5, okay, 1, 5. So just I'm mentioning as usual the show. Okay, such a simple narration, friends. Okay, maybe for the complex kind of the requirement, I may need some additional conditions and parameters, but still we are into the understanding of the transformations and actions. It's perfectly all right. If you know the functionality and applicability, then you can write any complex aspect. Okay, so this is Especially this particular code, what it does is it is picking up employee ID, first name, designation, and experience. And what we are doing is our requirement here is I want to pick up the details who are having the experience between 1 to 5. Okay, so just to see this, it is picking up only the members, only two members we are having, who is having 1 year of experience and who is other member is having 5 years of experience. Okay, simply we can decide, okay, to this guy, I can give the leadership training and I can promote that guy. Okay, so because he's having a quite relevant experience, and moreover, he can be suited. You would have done some 2 to 3 projects in his years of experience. Maybe you can ask him to attend the training, and then we can decide. Okay, so this is how you can mention the performance and all. So there is a small question, guys. Like first I'm selecting, and then I'm applying the filter. Okay, and sometimes we can do in this way also, guys. So be with me. So just employee data frame I'm taking, and then so first I'm applying the filter actually. So here I'm applying the filter, and then what I'm doing here is column. Just this time the experience. Okay, so I want to get the greater than experience. Okay, greater than 5 years of experience. I'm having some plan for them. Um, and then the first plan is, of course, 1 to 5. We are conducting some leadership kind of things. And the members who are having greater than 5 years of experience, I may want to give them some separate interest apart from their work, and they need to do some research or they want to do some certification or maybe something like that, friends, to empower them simply. So just I want to make use of the employee ID and as well as first name definitely I need. And then of course designation also I want. Okay, so the designation. Better to keep experience also, guys. Okay, because of course anyhow greater than 5 means accordingly 6, 7, 8, 9 up to 10 or 20 it goes on. Um, and thereafter just making use of the show method. So this time, what we are doing is rather than applying the filter after selection of the corresponding attributes, we are making use of the filter first, and then we are applying the condition. So let me run this. Okay, so it has taken some nearby time frames. Maybe simply I have changed the condition also. The environment is not same. The same checking we have not done, but I'm as a task I am asking you just to alter these portions. First you give the select and then you filter, and then first you filter and then you give the select. Observe the differentiation. Okay, so that is one of the tasks you can venture. Now you see here, here we are having many members who are having greater than or equal to experience, and I can remove. Earlier we checked that equality, so that it's not making any sense. So only I'm taking the members who are having the greater than 5 years, not equal to. So then I can put up a kind of knowledge on him, and even I can ask this guy only 6 years. Now maybe I can put him in the training, earlier training, and I may ask these more experienced guys to perform some other activities. Okay, with this way, so just according to the requirement, one can easily go and perform the activities. And similarly, the same way, just I am making use of this convention, like greater than, less than symbols, I can make use. So less than or equal to 5. Earlier we have used with that with the where class it seems, or between. Okay, between we have used, which has taken 0.51 second. Let me give this way. How do I, how much time I need to incur? This is even less time, friends. Okay, so it all depends. Maybe 2 or 3 ways are there in PySpark so as to handle these kind of the conditions. But only the option is how your conditions are taking time and how much time is incurred by the appropriate cluster. That is the most important consideration. Accordingly, you can specify your requirement. Okay. So select expression with column renamed filter, where clause, between, less than, greater than, not equal to, all those things we have specified. Apart from that, we have seen concatenate, lit, and call, all these kind of the considerations we have used. Oh, okay. Always, this is not the story, guys. Maybe if you see, there is some option called print schema. Okay. So print schema, what it does is just it is providing us the entire list of the attributes, and maybe sometimes, okay, the data is heavy, and I don't want to consider some of the fields, especially in our example, all fields are required only. But sometimes I don't want to keep that last name, or I don't want to go with some kind of the remaining things mandatory friends. Even skill also I cannot remove. So only the possible way is last name I can remove. So I can drop that. So at least to show the dropping, just I want to make use of that last name dropping. Okay. So drop is also one of the important narrow transformation where you can simply map to that particular column. There is no shuffle required definitely. So then always it is a good idea, friends, while dropping something, just to copy that particular thing into the new data frame. The procedure is pretty simple. So just to refer the old data frame, employee data frame. So just you can apply the drop, okay, drop off. Now you mention the last name, whatever the column you want. Okay, so now just to run through this thing, friends. Okay, whatever the result I'm having, okay, so here you can easily observe whatever the result I'm having. Now it is generating a data frame. Okay, now you see here your employee df1 dot print schema that should not contain the last name. Okay, there is no last name. And of course, you can display the result as usual, nothing simple. As how we are performing the activities so far, we have done the same way. And your employee DF, we have not touched anything, friends. Like that remains same because we don't want to miss out the master details. So employee first name, last name, designation, all these things remain same. Only the thing is the way how I am using the dropping of that last name is I'm pointing the reflection of this thing to a new data frame. Okay, whatever the data frame I'm having, just I'm dropping that particular specific column and I'm placing that into a new data frame. So this is the way how you can, without missing out the appropriate master data, but reasonably I want to maintain my data frame without incurring additional burden on the cluster. So this is the best way. Okay, just you need not refer every time employee data frame. You can go ahead with your normal data frame, whatever we have generated with only required columns. Sometimes there is a possibility of dropping multiple columns also, guys. Okay, like column one, first name and last name, I don't want. It is enough to have the employee ID because it is a master, it is a table which we generally use across the 10,000 members. Assume that. In that case, friends, even maintenance of one attribute or one column becomes a burden. Okay, so we should be very cautious about using these kind of things. So how do I drop multiple columns? So drop off column one, column two, likewise. So for this, just a simple narration, nothing great. Again, the same principle. We are creating one more data frame, and I don't want to miss out the data which is provided by the original data frame. Just I can make use of this first name and as well as a last name. Okay, just we are making use of this convention. So just to have a look on this. Okay, so just to check this, df2 print schema. Obviously, it is giving only the ID, designation, experience, email ID, and skill. Whereas your employee data frame, the fundamental data frame, whatever we are having, Just you can see that what exactly the details. Okay, so not print schema we want. So df, and then I can mention the print schema. So it is first name, last name as usual. There is no harm for that. Okay, recently we have generated this employee DF2. You can see this, no first name, no last name. Without that, those details, I'm using employee ID, designation, experience, email ID, skill set. Only these things I am maintaining. Because maybe I feel that first name, last name, I am making use as a base details. But every time this table, this data frame, I want to scope. And programmatically, one more possibility is there, friends. So maybe I can say like this: always using drop related to first column, second column, third column, like that. There are certain principles. Actually, as I said, na, always the programmer need not work on the optimizations. Maybe he need to venture many other possibilities. So the programmer skill set is not stick with one technology or one technique, guys. Even in though you are working with PySpark, but you should not limit yourself of using the existing methodologies. Maybe if I want to perform some kind of the dropping of multiple columns, I should verify is there any other possible way of doing that, because this is a recursive process. Always recursive process or iterative process involves the logical implementations. So you can think through rather than direct mention of the column data. Is there any possibility of applying some kind of techniques? Okay, so for that thing, what I'm doing here is just I'm getting the print schema details, and I need to pick up which are all the columns, not that much important, and I want to preserve my new data frame with the specified columns only. So now I am selecting the columns which are not that much important, employee columns. Just I am listing out all these things. You might have observed this is a list, friends, actually. So this kind of the brackets are reference of the list in Python. Just I am making use of the last name, and then I don't want to give this email ID also. Put this email ID in the destination email ID. So just I have created one list here. Okay, so that my employee columns is containing these three details: first name, last name, and email ID. So these details should inline with the appropriate attribute information of the data frame. Okay, now how do I apply these three droppings? Okay, because my interest is just I don't want to go with first name, last name, and email ID. It is enough for me to have employee ID, skill set, designation, all these kind of the considerations. For that, always remember, my friend, just don't apply your logic on the direct data frame. Up to DF2 we are having. Now we are creating one more data frame, and whatever the logic I want to apply, now I can take the original data frame. Now I am making use of this drop. Just a simple narration, guys, here. EMP columns. Just have a look on this. Uh, in this dropping, actually, so what we're doing, drop off multiple columns here. That is one way of doing that. Nothing harm. But only the thing is, programmatically, one more possibility is there, friends. Suppose we're having some 10 columns to drop. Maybe initially, while launching the project, you would have taken some 45 to 50 columns. But later in the first review meet or first client meet, the client is very much interested on only few columns, maybe 15 or something. Then the best way of doing that is whatever the columns suggested by the client, which are not important, we are maintaining that as a list. And of course, that particular list will be submitted to the, because this employee columns is having all the details. This star specifies number of column, number of value friends. Even in case of dealing with lambda functions or your user-defined functions, this star expects the number of attributes or the number of arguments, and you are not sure that. how many number of arguments I am having in the corresponding function execution, then you can go ahead with this star. So star instructs PySpark. I am not happy or I am not going to give the static number of arguments, and there are multiple arguments. Maybe this time I can give one argument, next time I may give two arguments, and next time three arguments. Like that, n number of arguments I can give. Whenever I'm calling a function, and I can change the number of arguments. So for that particular purpose, friends, we're having this star support. Okay, varying number of arguments, I can say. Varying number of arguments if we are having, so as to maintain the convention of that thing, just you can mention this star. Okay, so now you see, it is taking. Now, if you observe the print scheme of original data frame, this remains same. Oh, sorry, this thing function, this one. So, employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, email ID, skill. Similarly, the latest data frame is DF3, print schema. So, just you can mention that. So, there is no reference of first name, last name, and email ID. Okay, just it is having employee ID, designation, experience, and skills. So in this way, okay, you can make use of the convention like specification of all your understandings. Okay. So just I am taking a pause here, friends. Okay. So just let me refer which are all the aspects we have covered so far, so that we'll be understanding. We can go ahead with further understanding because we have completed the majority of the narrow transformations. Now we are going to talk about the wide transformations. So in between, what I will do is just let me pull the aspects which we have seen so far. We started with um, just let me give the key takeaways. So just we started with the concept of the transformations. These things can be applied to either RDD or data frame. And we're having two sorts of the transformations. One is the narrow, and the other is the wide, wide transformation. Okay, so coming to the narrow transformation, some of the things we have seen, friends. Narrow transformations. Okay, so just we started with we have started with the very first thing. Just we have taken the employee data frame, friends, initially, and then we applied the select statement with the star, which is giving the entire data, and thereafter select with specified details also, employee ID, first name, like that. And then the another option is with the same select, we have used three constructs. Concat we have used, lit we have used, and the third one is the COL. Okay, these three things we have used. And then we worked with select expression where it is SQL like syntax so as to specify the logics in the double quotes that we have seen. And along with this, we studied with column to perform some logic to add a new column and to rename the column. All these kind of things we have observed. And once this is over, just we have seen the with column renamed. This is for the purpose of only column renamed things. Okay, column renaming because in case of each column, it is having a wide spread of the functionality. So uh, just to limit ourselves, if I want to perform only the renaming of the column, better you go with the with column rename. Once that is over, next to what we have seen, guys, let me go to the this thing. And after the column rename, we started with the filter actually. So, before that, have you seen anything else? No, nothing like that. Okay. So now, along with that, we have seen some sort of filter, and filter is very much similar to the where class. And within the filter, again, I'm having the equality, not equal to, greater than, less than or equal to. Likewise, you can make use of this filter option, and where also useful to perform the activities. Okay, and we have seen some between. Okay, where this between helps us to perform some kind of operations. Like I want to get the appropriate information which is located in between the numbers. So that thing we upload, and latest we have seen some drop, single column, or else you can use the drop two or three columns, and one more option, drop variable columns. Okay, so these are all certain aspects we observed. Now, just we'll have a kind of discussion related to the white transformation, friends. Okay, once that white transformation is over, then we'll go back to the architecture understanding. And after the architecture, actions pretty simple. 5 to 6 actions are there. Those things are not a big deal, guys. Only understanding of these transformations is pretty important because the actions and all already we are doing. Okay, so simply we are doing the actions on that. All those things already collect your all these kind of things show all these are belongs to count, all these are belongs to the actions only. But understanding of the transformations as they are manipulators and they are using some sort of logics. Okay, you have to be very stick to that thing. And quite interesting aspect is, guys, in case of the narrow wide transformations, we're having pretty interesting aspects. Okay, like distinct, as I said, joins option, and thereafter we are having some this thing actually group by. Okay, all these things. Let us see one by one in the simplest way. For this, what I'm doing here is so far we have seen the employee details. These details containing the information about the employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, email ID, skill set like that. This time to apply the wide transformations, okay, I'm having some more, some other details I require so that I'm picking up some other details related to the wide transformation. That is the employee details I'm getting for us, guys. So these details are little more when compared with the earlier example. Okay, so let me give that. So these details contains employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, email ID, skill set. Same, almost all the same kind of things. Now, what I want to do is I want to make use of these employee details, okay, into my new data frame. Just I maintain all these kind of the convention, and I want to create the data frame. So, a latest data frame is DF3, and now I will be creating one more data frame. As usual, the procedure is same. Create data frame of PD data frame. Now I am giving the employee details. Employee details one. Okay. So just you try to run this. Now we have created employee data frame 4 dot show method. I'm having the convention employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, employee ID, skill set. Okay, like that. Now see the differentiation between the earlier thing and the current thing is we are having certain repetitions friends actually. Okay, so we are having certain repetitions. In the earlier data frame, we don't have the repetitions. Maybe some due to some reason, okay, while collecting the data, while accumulating the data, we got some repetitions. Okay, this data frame is containing some duplicates also. And see, the thing is pretty simple, guys, because many departments or many BUs are collecting the data. Some of the members may be relevant to many PUs. If you consider my case, I'll be related to Databricks and I'll be related to the Wooper or data services. All these things. Maybe my name would reflect in multiple nominations. Okay, so the scenario here is I want to make only the non-repeated records, unique records. I want to avoid the duplicate records. So for that, I have taken this employee data frame 4. Now the wide transformation, distinct. Okay, so distinct is the wide transformation. If you observe, guys, while seeing the transformations, the wide transformation, remember that there are shuffles actually. So shuffle, of course, is the most expensive operation where this particular shuffle is dependent on. See, okay, so it's dependent on with narrow. Spark will automatically perform an operation called pipelining or narrow dependencies. But the same cannot be said for shuffles. When we perform a shuffle, Spark will write the results to the disk. You will see lots of talks about shuffle optimization because if you could optimize this shuffle and you can achieve a lot more things, friends. Okay, the white transformation main barrier is the shuffle phase. Shuffle in the sense I cannot directly map the appropriate input and process the output. Maybe I can verify all the records and I should maintain the labels of the information and all. So the distinct belongs to the case of the wide. And one more thing, guys, here the advantage is that no matter whether you are using the narrow or wide transformations, the complexity of the coding won't be there, friends. Only the complexity we are talking in terms of architecture only. Okay, it's not like that narrow transformations are only single liner and the wide transformations are multiple. No, not like that. Even sometimes you feel that wider transformations are pretty simple. Okay, because it is involving all the internal complexity and internal mechanism. But narrow is not like that. Directly, you need to mention how we have done usage of the column, concat, or literal in the corresponding select statement. But whereas this wide is not like that. All the complexities, all the evolutions are internal. So user need not feel any difficulty to use those kind of the transformations. Okay, and now our employee data 4 employee data frame 4 is having a repetition, especially 101 repeated multiple times. So we want to refer only the employees one time. So just you take this and you apply the distinct as usual, apply the show method. Now you see, just it is going to filter out some C sprints, 2.44 seconds. So none of our narrow transformations took that much time so far. You see, all these kind of things 0.03, 0.04, okay, so 0.38, 0.36. Here itself you can understand. Okay, with the simple distinct, okay, if I'm giving a simple distinct and it has taken 2.44 seconds. Okay, so the internal mechanism, okay, don't see that even by seeing the appearance of the members, we can estimate. We cannot. Okay, we should not. So because by just seeing his appearance, we cannot say that this guy is not know anything, he is not having any skill set. We cannot say that because the members may have the different skill set. All the members need not have the same kind of the skill set. Each and every member is unique. Okay. So similarly, this distinct. Though it is looking simple, but still internally it is requiring some many shufflings or many operations. So it has taken much time. Now, in the earlier thing, I'm having the employee data frame 4 dot count. If I'm saying just as a recheck, I'm having some sort of eight records. Whereas if I'm referencing this point, data frame 4, now I am applying the distinct. On top of that, I want to apply some count. Okay, so just you can refer that there are only seven records. That means after the filter record. And one more thing, guys, I want to clarify here. Um, if you refer this distinct applicability along with the show, it has taken 2.44 seconds. Maybe show also needs some time. It is also requiring some time as per the DAG architecture. Whereas if you observe the distinct with count, you can see here 0.96. So we cannot blame always the white transformations, but actually it's also incurring some additional amount discount or all these kind of the aspects. We should be very cautious about those kind of the aspects. And moreover, one more functionality I'm having, one more white transformation, that is the sorting. Okay, sorting is pretty useful construct. Again, what I'm taking here is my employee data frame one. What exactly that is? Let me show. I'm having a complete narration of employee ID, first name, designation, email ID, skill like that. Now I want to apply some sort of, I want to start with the first name. Maybe I am distributing some gifts to them. How our company generally distributes the gifts on Diwali or all these kind of the occasions. Just I want to filter out maybe no designation, no experience considered. Just in the as a some kind of the order we are that HR people require some order. And maybe because no matter whether 1 year experience, 6 months experience, or 10-year experience, all are we are distributing prizes or distributing gifts to all. I assume that. So now in that case, just I want to pick up the data like this employee data frame one, and I want to apply the sort mechanism. So sort and the column I should specify first name, and then I want to give the show option. It is also taking some time. Okay, so just this time see here earlier in this order I am having employee ID based. Now you see these employee IDs are getting shuffled actually because my interest is I want to scope the sort. I want to apply some sorting operation on top of the first name. So obviously the appropriate sorting is taking place. And sometimes maybe the reverse order. It is a common practice where I want to apply in the descending order. Descending in the sense top experienced people first and then remaining people like that. Maybe the little change in the scenario, how I am doing this thing. See guys, employee data frame one, and I want to apply some sort. This time I am applying the experience on top of experience, and we are having that ascending actually. Uh, Ascending false, ascending equal to false dot show. So there is no descending kind of thing. Rather, what I can do is ascending. If I am doing false, then obviously it is understood that descending is true. Now this time I am sorting on experience. I am putting the order in the descending actually. Okay, so let me try this. So generally the ranks and all we should put in the descending order. So first rank and all those things should be put in the ascending order, like first rank, second rank, third rank, like that. But experience and all, we cannot put that. Obviously, as a team lead or manager, first we see within that particular team who are having the experience and who are having the number of certifications. Based on that kind of convention, one can easily perform the activities. Okay. And most importantly, friends, up to this, we are seeing only the data frames as a singular thing. Okay, from a simple or direct data frame, we are picking up the data, no matter whether that is a select or select expression, which column renamed, filter we have seen, where class, sorting ascending or descending, all these things are common. But sometimes there is a possibility of combining multiple data frames. Okay, at times, just you are making use of multiple data frames, and all those data frames are really helping us to make use of some meaningful information after the combination. For that, I'm having the concept of joins. And one good news is that whatever you have learned in your SQL, maybe that is the equi-join or inner join, and then self join, full outer, right outer, left outer, all these things remain same. Only the way we are writing may be slightly distinct, even simple when compared with SQL, except that all the other things are common. Okay. Now to perform this, I need some other input data. For that, I am taking the employee master or employee base data. So this base data, what it does is, uh, while our joining, they would have collected the phone numbers and locations. Now, just we are making use of this employee base, which is a list of the dictionaries. Okay, so just I'm making use of the employee base. However, along with this, I'm using the employee data frame. So EMP data frame one print schema. Okay, so just I want to pick up definitely, friends. One important point is if I want to apply the join condition, there should be a common attribute. So for that, we're having employee ID here, and other than that, no matching is there actually. Okay, like we're having, and even for some of the employees, we don't have the corresponding match. That's perfectly all right because maybe my requirement here is. I need a common column. It doesn't mean that both the tables should maintain the same detail. Then there is no need of second table. If both the tables are maintaining the same data, why do I need the second table? That is the reason why we are selecting the join option. No matter if first table is containing some records, second table is containing some other records, it is perfectly all right. But my requirement is only I need some common column, and based on that particular common column, I am going to pick up the join options. Okay, so this is how you can specify. So now we are having employee base with employee ID, phone number, and location, and employee data frame. However, I'm having my all the things we are having: employee ID, first name, designation, all these kind of the conventions. Okay. Now, what my expectation here is that I want to apply some kind of the join options. But before that, based on this employee base, I need to create a data frame. If you remember, for every list of dictionaries, we are creating a data frame. Like this is the third time we are creating. First, we have created the EMD underscore DF, which is having the details of employee ID, first name, last name, designation, experience, skill set like that. Now the second time we have created the same thing with duplicate values. Okay, that is the second data frame, second details we have used. Now we are using the employee based data frame. Okay, so employee based data frame, as usual, Spark dot. Just I am creating a data frame of again PD dot data frame. This is more flexible way. I'm having the employee base. So now this data frame has been constructed, uh, and you can apply the method. Whatever the functionalities, as usual, you can apply either narrow or wide or whichever the transformations you want, you can apply that. Now, simply, I'm having these details. Okay. Now, coming to the joins, I'm having the equi or the terminology friends here, equi or inner join. Okay. So, based on the equality of the corresponding data frames, I want to fetch the records. So here the common column is there, and based on the equality of both the records. Okay, maybe in case of my employee data frame one, I'm having these kind of the things. Where is my data frame one? Yeah, this one, employee data frame one. I'm having all these kind of the details. 101, 107, all the details are there. 102, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to that. But whereas in my employee base, I am having certain columns missed out actually. Seventh is not there, third is not there, like that. A few columns were not there. It's okay, no issue. But only the thing is, if in the employee data frame one, whatever the records I'm having, the same details, if I'm having in the employee base, then only I want to get that. It means um, for these members, we are having the complete details. Okay, for some of the members may not give the phone number, some may not give the native details, some may not give the blood group details, or some personal details they would have not given, or else they would have not submitted their recent relieving letter or something like that. These things are like, the new joiners within 1 month or 2 months, they have to produce all the relievings and all. Okay, so that is the scenario. Like, so first what we are doing is that just I want to pick up without any difficulty, which are all the records exist in both the tables. So for that particular purpose, what we're doing is, be with me guys. Just I want to refer my first data frame. Um, okay, and then see here, just directly I'm applying the join operation, join, and which I need to join employee based data frame that I should mention. Now the condition. Now the condition. Just what I can specify, employee df1 dot your employee ID, okay, which is equal to employee base df dot employee ID. See how simple it is, employee ID. But of course, directly what I can specify is, as I'm mentioning the equi join, inner join, I need not specify the type of the join. By default, as directly I'm mentioning the uh, equality. So it is fetching the records which are common in both the employee data frame one and employee base data frame. Okay, so just this time, just you can get the details. So only 4 members details were having completely. So after fetching these details, friends, now we can see the entire aspects starting from the employee ID, first name, designation, experience, email ID, skill set. And maybe one of the problem with this equi join is the duplication frames. Okay, so that is here maybe with the alias or with some kind of the specifications as a task I'm giving to you. Okay, just to see that without duplication or without repetition, how do you pick up the attributes here with the help of the join? That as a task you can try. And phone number, of course, we require, and location. So together, 4 members are given complete details to us related to the location and phone number or whichever. So this is a kind of join where you can perform the activity. And thereafter, the most famous thing is, after this thing, I don't want to miss out some of the details. So the left outer join gives that. Suppose if I'm having the employee data frame and the right side I'm having the employee base, um, whatever the details I'm having in the employee data frame, I should get all the things along with the matching records of employee base. So what I mean to say is the left outer join, okay, covers all the left side entries, and it is giving the matching records from the right side. So just you refer this. This is quite common how we have seen in case of the join. The underlying assumption is same, but the writing, how do I mention this left, right, and full outer is slightly a change. What I'm doing here is employee data frame one. This I am taking, and then this this is not going to change, guys. Join operation remains same. Your employee base data frame. Now I am making use of employee data frame one, then employee ID, then equi join. So equality checking I am doing. So just giving the space. Okay. And now employee base df dot ID. This is as usual. Now the one more option I need to specify, that is the left outer join. Okay, I explicitly I need to mention that, and then I will show the details. So the distinction between the earlier equi inner join compared with the left is your condition remains same, but whereas explicitly what we are mentioning is I want to prefer the left outer. Okay, so just you can see here a small modification is there. This time more details I'm having, and correspondingly which whoever the uh, members not given the details 103 who don't have the corresponding details in the second table. Similarly 105 also we don't have, and 107 also. Okay, see the possibility here is in what way the display, okay, the in what way the display of the corresponding information is done in SQL, because SQL also, whatever the table I'm having, that particular table, if it is not having the corresponding information, it is not going to return the data item. Okay, that is how you can refer the left. And now we are getting the same information with the right outer join. Okay, so see here, just as it is, I am projecting the right outer join. Okay, and what we are doing here is just simply I'm copying this code. Rather, what I can do is this time I'm making use of my uh, right outer join. Okay, so just a small change. Now the observation is in this way. The preference will be given to the base table, base data frame. Accordingly, it is providing the things, and more nulls are there this side. And because we are rich, employee data frame one is rich compared with the employee base. Because we are having some 101 to 108 records, but whereas here only limited records we are having. So this employee ID, which are not there here, just the matching records are not there, completely filled with null. Okay, and similarly, full outer is there. Okay, so just full outer. Sometimes, friends, to come to a conclusion, let us see how many nulls are there, and because left outer and right outer only gives the one side story, whereas full outer in the sense, this I can say, like I'm having the employee details as well as the gift distribution is there. Maybe in Chennai location, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and all these locations, the people are distributed the gifts, and some of the members are complaining that I have not received my gift, or though I received that, I received the empty packet, like that they are complaining. So what we want to do is let me see how many gifts are distributed, how many are left over, or how many employees are received, how they are not received. Complete information, a complete picture. So in that case, just you need to apply the same kind of the join operation, but this time there is one more option called just there is a column called uh, full outer. So see friends, here in case of the equi, we have not specified any extra argument, because with the condition itself, it could able to perform that join. Whereas in the left, explicitly you need to mention. Similarly for the right also. In the full outer, okay, so we need to specify the full underscore outer. Okay, now you see many nulls and many entire data is fetched to us. Okay, this is how you can see the appropriate aspect. So it took 1.1 seconds, whereas your right took 0.97 and left 1.29 actually. So compared with the left, right outer join took more time. and our equi-join took 1.91. Okay, so full outer join compared with full outer join, equi-join has taken more time frames. Okay, so just we cannot come to a conclusion based on the number of records or based on the kind of the operation we are using, because internally that activity is distinct. So that is the main observation. Okay, I'm stopping here, guys. Just will be back after taking a break. After that, we'll try to complete the remaining things group by option and as well as some sort of the map and reduce by key and some kind of the actions. Okay, so if time permits, then I'll pick up that architecture also. Otherwise, no problem. Tomorrow, however, we are dealing with the optimizations. Is quite relevant. Studying about the architecture along with the optimizations is quite relevant. No problem. So today at least we'll complete this wide and as well as the wide transformations and actions. Then we can start the tomorrow session. I'll be dealing with broadcasting, user-defined functions, and Spark SQL. So which is very handy. Thereafter, they're all the so, however, I said, these architectural kind of thing. And one more thing, guys, the latest, the Databricks, now we got to apply this adaptive query, okay, which is very important thing for optimizations. Okay, let me try to compile the details so that we can finish off this training. Okay. So that is all about. Okay, if you are having any doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, as usual, just to contact me through Teams or Slack. Okay, I'll give you the clarifications. And regarding with the project friends, actually, I received these nominations, and only the my possibility here is if any person is interested. Okay, so yeah, Astrolochin has given some yeah duplication. So just you can make use of that thing. Or Elias is also working. Many things are there, friends. But good. Okay, so in that way you can mention. And here only if you see the teams, team one, Harish, Astrolochin, Vedant, and Vasim. Team two, Balabhaskar, Karthikeyan, Srinidhi, and Monica. And team three, Devraj, Sadhana, Lalita, and Sri Aravindan. Team four, Shahid, Jnaneshwar, Bharati Shanmugan, Satish. Team five, Sai Santosh and Hariharan. Team six, Harikrishnan, Akhil, and Subramanian. So, if the members who are in the call who are not yet given the names, two slots are there in team five, friends. Actually, team five only two members are there. Team six, three members are there. Other than that, all the teams are having four members, so that I can accommodate three more members. Two members in team five and one member in team six. There is no force. Okay, it all self kind of thing. So that you decide whether I need to do the project and all, because you are not kids or you are not treasure kind of thing. Out of interest, we are conducting the trainings. Okay, so just we want to empower our members. Okay, so you might have observed what way we are going, but I appreciate all these guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 plus 2, 18, 18 plus 3, 21 members. Okay, all these 21 members, excellent. So because that's what optional things, if you are ready to do, then you already done the mandatory things. Okay, that is the equation. If you are not ready to do the optional things, then one day you are not going to do the mandatory things also. Maybe this equation quite complex to you at this moment of time, but maybe definitely you are going to realize that. Okay, often you practice to do the additional aspects apart from the mandatory things, so that you don't leave the mandatory things what you should do. Okay, so with that note, just let me share the timer. So just as I said, we are having some two and three slot sprints, or if you are coming up with a new team, that is also fine. Okay, so that is what I'm leaving. Otherwise, we will go with these members, and by tomorrow evening, however, I'll be sharing the corresponding projects with you so that you can start working. And timeline and all, I will convey in the due course, friends. Okay, thank you very much.